All right, all right. Somebody pop up in chat and give me a thumbs up on audio. Awesome. Great. Okay. Well, I guess we'll get started again right away here. So, welcome to live Q&A here on this Friday afternoon where I'm at. Friday evening for you people back on the West Coast. Coming off a busy couple weeks training. Had a week back here at the house. Kind of fucked off, didn't do a whole lot. Tried to wrap my hands around some of the administrative side of the building, the business. I mean, paid some bills, uh, made some phone calls, had some meetings, did some stuff. Did a nice Q&A last night, or mod chat, excuse me, for primary and secondary. Bill was going to be on, and some other guys. And they were going to be talking about pistol modifications. And so, obviously, because I'm a heavy pistol modification advocate, as a result of my skill set and my desire to gain every mechanical advantage I can due to the level that I'm shooting at, I figured that it would be good for me to put my 2 cents in there. There were guys that were watching it. They had to step away. If you guys understand how the whole PNS thing works, it goes live and then Landfair takes it down for a day or two or three so that he could do editing and revisions. And then it pops back up both on YouTube and then on your or VMO or wherever the hell he posts it. And then that's when your Spotify and all your iTunes and all that shit, you guys can listen to it on audio. So if you didn't catch it last night, it's okay. I will, if there's any questions that I see on the list that I talked about last night, I'll cover them again. It's fine. I'm on your guys' time. So we'll rehash some things if you guys think it's necessary, but it's probably worth your time to go back and watch that primary and secondary chat because it really was kind of duty focused and how to convince people that certain modifications are actually enhancements to performance that have no real downside, only some type of perceived downside. So it's a perception problem, not an equipment problem. And that there should not be an impediment to the right individuals that are at the right time in their progression of skill set, that they are starting to max out their human performance and now need to look to significant mechanical advantages to jump ahead. And then there's other mechanical enhancements that I don't care if you're a novice shooter or a grandmaster, they're gonna make you better, like right away. So it was a pretty good episode. Matt, hold off your questions on chat for right now. I've got to go through the pre-done list first. And then if people are joking and bullshitting around on the chat, it's going to bounce your question up to where when I go back to start looking to see what questions you guys have, I might miss it. So just hold off on posting relevant stuff in the chat, guys. Like, no shit, you want me to read your stuff and answer you. Hold off until you hear me complete the list from the patron pages that I'm going to pull up in order. So obviously, you guys know that my $25 and above patrons, they always get first shot at the questions. So Javelin is our first question for the evening. Javelin asks, what are your general thoughts on the Army's next generation squad weapon? Do you think that it's going to be the next objective individual combat weapon, OICW, which is the abortion from the 90s that was a kinetic 5.56 rifle that turned into the XM8 and the initially 20 millimeter, and then I think they bumped it up to 25 millimeter, or it was 25 and they bumped it down to 20, one of the two. Fire and forget exploding airburst grenade launcher. So this combination was introduced back in the 90s, and the only thing that we ended up getting out of it was a limited number of XM25 Punisher, which was the standalone grenade launcher module out of that. So in over 20 years of research and development testing, this rifle that was supposed to revolutionize and replace the AR and the M203 grenade launcher in our maneuver forces now 24 years ago, and all we got was a few grenade launchers over in Afghanistan, and that program is now officially killed. So the question that Javelin is asking is this new 6.8 rifle and light machine gun, is it another harebrained scheme that's going to eat up research and development dollars and keep the soldiers from getting new capability, or is it actually going to turn out well? That's a good question. And honestly, because I don't have a need to know, I can't just say, hey, I've got a security clearance. Why don't you send me a copy of all the classified stuff? When we're talking about lethality tech data, that information is going to be protected. So obviously, we can make some assumptions here. And one of those assumptions is that some spook somewhere bought a set of, Russian SAPI plates or Chinese SAPI plates off the black market or at a trade show, or, slept with a hooker that got them from a general, however that spy shit works. And we now know that there is some armor out there somewhere that 5.56 and 7.62 are not going to defeat with the current loads that we have now. Is that factually accurate? I would say yes. Is the fact that somewhere somebody has a plate that we may or may not be seeing in any type of reasonable numbers on the modern battlefield, may not have been produced in any large quantities, and certainly may or may not even be fielded to a standing army, is that being used as an excuse by people with agendas to push for a new rifle? Maybe. Now we're talking about what truth lies in the hearts of men. You got to kind of take people at face value, but you're always looking for the angle or the agenda, right? So obviously, you can't sell a service rifle replacement unless it has significant improvements over the current platform. And one of the ways that you can prove that your next generation whatever is better than what you got is a lethality capability gap. The thing that scares me about that is weight. If the cartridges weigh more and that weight is considerable, then I'm not happy, because our soldiers are already overloaded. And at the end of the day, I just don't care about lethality capability gap. I would rather carry a lightweight projectile that I can shoot somebody in a chest plate and knock them on the ground and then shoot them 7 or 8 times in the face than carry big ass, heavy ass bullets like 7.62. So this 6.8 cartridge, which is not 6.8 SPC. I don't know what that cartridge is going to look like. Are we talking about SR25 mags? Are we talking about M4 mags that only hold 25 rounds? There's a big difference there. Big, huge difference there in my mind. So the cube space and the weight of each individual bullet matters to me. But what concerns me more than getting a new rifle is they want increased hit probability, which the Army is pushing so incredibly hard to get away from a see-through optic. Because when you digitize the soldier's weapon, it opens up all these possibilities. Disturbed reticle. For those of you that don't know what a disturbed reticle is, it's a simple matter of you have a thing like a Kestrel or something that's got applied ballistics. You've got a built-in integrated laser rangefinder. You're taking into account barometric pressure, temperature, all these other factors that you hear snipers talking about. And with the push of a button, it's calculating all of this, possibly in the future, even using laser rangefinder pulsing to determine wind speed by measuring particulate matter, micro particulate matter as it passes through the field of view. So it would be able to give you cross-referenced ballistics based on wind from muzzle all the way to target. So in the first third of your 300 yards, you've got a full value wind 15 knots going right to left. From 100 to 250 yards, you've got a 15 knot going left to right. And then at from 250 to target at 300 yards, you've got a 5 knot coming back right to left again. And it's doing that math for you in the instant using a computer processor. Sounds pretty sexy, right? Problem is that we currently don't have the ability to process digital images as fast as the human eyeball. So you would not be able to go into a room and drive your gun into the corner and process images that you're seeing in your reticle and make accurate kill shots at close distances. You would have to use a projected laser or something like that, which have all been shown to be slower than the human eye picking up a reference point on the gun like a red dot and driving the gun to the Mark I eyeball and pressing off the shot. You also, without pass-through, have no backup sighting system. If you have a dead screen, you can't co-witness or see through it with iron sights. You would have to offset iron sights or remove your fire control system. The Mark 47 Punisher, Striker, advanced lightweight grenade launcher, replaced the Mark 19 40 millimeter grenade machine gun for Special Operations Forces. The gun's a fucking complete piece of shit. It is a fucking piece of dog shit. And SOCOM procured it anyway because they sold their soul to fire control. And it had all this crazy shit that we're talking about. And, you'd slew the target and then it would be giving you these up and up arrows and right arrows, and you'd start slewing the machine gun up and to the right, and eventually the crosshair would come into your field of view, and you would lock it in, and now your barrel's pointing way up and right, and you'd fire, boom, 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 and except for it wasn't boom, 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 boom. It was like boom, 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 boom. Had a very, very slow rate of fire and a very high recoil impulse because of its light weight. So this damn grenade would be firing up and to the right, and then the wind would catch it and blow it back, and it would land right on target. And they created the test plan for this grenade machine gun for first round hits. And they were getting first round hits out to like 2,000 meters. But the problem was the recoil impulse of the grenade machine gun was so bad that any other rounds fired in the burst were not, they literally were not recorded for the test plan. The burst was a go if the one round landed in the 5 meter kill circle around a silhouette going out to 2,000 meters. So when you look at that on paper, and generals like to look at shit on paper, sir, we have now provided soft forces with a 2,000 meter first round hit probability, blah, 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 blah. That's cool. But when I fire this thing in a burst at a target 150 yards off the left side of my Humvee, it flexed the Humvee in the A-frame so bad that the first round went through the target, the second round launched hundreds and hundreds of meters beyond it, and then the vehicle recoiled, and the third shot fired into the dirt and exploded an HE round halfway between me and the bad guy 150 yards away. 75-meter off my vehicle pre-target detonation with a 40-millimeter high explosive round. What if I had been firing overhead fires in support of a dismounted element in the assault? I would have fragged my own guys. The recoil impulse was so bad that it was taking the end of the 32 round belts of 40 millimeter. It was stripping them out of the cans that we were using, breaking the male and female link, and throwing the last 4 rounds out of my gun off the vehicle. Like the last 4 rounds, separated from the link, did not go in the grenade machine gun, flew away from the truck and landed in the fucking desert. These guns are fielded in the hundreds in the SOCOM force right now. Right now, as we speak, the Mark 47 Punisher Striker, is standard fucking Top Gun grenade machine gun for all SF teams, SEAL elements, whatever. Ask those guys how many of those fucking television screen disturbed reticle firing systems actually work down in the SF group right now. How many of them are still up and functional? The answer is not a whole lot. They're using the backup iron sight system, and they're firing it like a traditional Mark 19 grenade launcher. And that is my fear of disturbed reticle fire control for the next generation squad weapon. Also, because we fuse the infantry and the armor, we have high-level generals that are fucking tankers, and they're cav. And they lived their life when they were still an action guy, and by that I mean like company battalion commander in a fucking M1. And they think thermal is the end-all be-all because they're driving around in a $3 million stabilized gun system, firing on the move, and seeing tanks 4,000 fucking meters away. And now you're putting them in a dismounted role at the Maneuver Center of Excellence or somewhere up in fucking ForceCom G8 shop, and all they want to do is shove thermals down the dismounted infantryman's throat. Not with latency, not with lag. Sorry. I move faster inside of a room when somebody's trying to kill me and I'm trying to kill somebody than an M1 Abrams tanks moves. Sorry. You cannot outrun my Mark 1 eyeballs and my human reaction speed. There is not a computer or digital display on the planet that is as fast as an assaulter and their reflex sight. And the Air Force knows this. They have human factors testing on human brain latency. They understand the milliseconds of fucking lag that all of these computer processors are bringing. SOCOM has been throwing money hand over fist at Talos, the Iron Man suit. And the Talos Iron Man suit has problems because they want to encapsulate the head and digitize the view. And as soon as they digitize the view, now they have to use a computer to process images faster than the human brain and the eyeball can process images. And the shit ain't working. And so SOCOM's got the test data to show that it ain't working. So anytime anybody from an R&D perspective steps up to me and wants to tether my gun and my eyes in some type of augmented or virtual reality, Fucking program's dead on arrival. Dead on arrival. It's Land Warrior. It's fucking OICW. It's pie in the sky bullshit. Now, if they want to do some type of augmented reality using a pass-through glass scope with some type of plane that is giving you some type of information, data, firing solutions, things like that, and you're still the human in the loop, either adjusting in a reticle or making adjustments to the scope to fire through, and that scope can still be cranked back to 1x or near 1x. Now we're talking about a totally different realm there. So I don't know what I don't know, because I'm not sitting in capabilities design meetings anymore. I'm just in the cheap seats like the rest of y'all, trying to read open source information and sort it out and figure shit out, you know? But if I was a betting man, I would tell you guys to follow the money, and the defense industrial complex would love to make the standard optical sight on this next generation squad weapon thermal capable and charge $15,000 per sight instead of the $500 a sight or whatever that they charge for M68s to Aimpoint. They would love to do that. BAE Systems, L3, these guys are chomping at the bit. They've got fucking lobbyists that are in DC, that are talking to congressmen, that are talking to senators, that are talking to the Secretary of the Army, that are talking to the Chief of Staff. And they're in collusion with elements in our military to sell the Army on a capability. I wonder how much money General Dynamics Land Systems made off of the Land Warrior project between 1994 and 2006. I wonder how much money that was. I wonder what the soldier got in terms of usable deliverables. Net Warrior, it's a fucking app and a Panasonic Toughbook. How many years at AUSA did we see somebody wearing Interceptor body armor before Interceptor body armor was even out, holding a fucking M4 carbine with a bayonet on the end of it and a PAS 13 thermal weapon sight that was remote imaged to an IHAS fucking 1-inch LCD screen over the shooter's fucking eye, and he's wearing green blips and all camouflaged up and shit in his woodland shit, standing around selling a lie, selling a fucking lie. Do I have any reason to believe that the next generation squad weapon is going to be anything short of that? Nope. But we'll see. Maybe we get a really cool rifle out of it. Spiral development. Cool shit comes out of bigger programs. Maybe we love the rifle, and for the next 15 years, we've got this, 6.8 cartridge with a wicked ass BC that's shooting fucking laser beams, and we're putting fucking, SIG 1-6s and ACOGs and aim points on our shit and shooting people with fucking PEC 15 lasers, and maybe we go into fucking 2030 and we still don't have next generation fire control, but we've got a weapon ready to accept next generation fire control once it arrives there. I don't know. So that's my take on what I think is up. So next question. Okay. Joel Gooden is asking, what holsters are currently am I currently using for my Nighthawk? And do I plan on using that as a concealed blaster? No. Right tool for the right job. You know what I mean? So like the Roland Special was a very high-end defensive carry firearm. People ask, you don't shoot the Roland Special anymore? No, because I'm training. And I'm training gunfighters. So I'm training offensive fucking handgun tactics, not defensive sidearms. So the guns that I carry when I'm going out to hurt people is very, very different than the guns I carry when I go out to keep people from hurting me. Make sense? So the double stack got a lot of holster options for double stacks. Thank God, you know, Bill Rogers has got such a great relationship with Safariland. This is the Bill Rogers Shooting School Safariland, whatever 6004-ish thing, but with ALS instead. So this holds a 1911 style rail gun with fucking flashlight, and it has ALS retention, and it has a leg shroud with 2 built-in Safariland mag thingies on it, mag pouches, right? So this thing will hold iron sight gun fine. All right. Locks it in there. Beautiful. Wonderful. Okay, look at that. Sexy as fuck, right? There we go. Problem is ALS does not work with fucking red dots. All right. Unless you have a Safariland that's made for red dots. And 1911s are going the way of the dodo. So you're not going to find, unless there's some huge resurgent in the 1911 frame pistol in a red dot form, you're not going to find any Safariland holsters made for 1911s with red dots. So this is available from Holster Ops, by the way. MLS. So this is kind of a unicorn. Unicorn in that you don't see a lot of them. Not that they're not out there, not that they're not making them, because this motherfucker was manufactured in. Hold on, let me look at the manufacturing date. This motherfucker was manufactured in 2018, man. So this holster was made this fucking year. This is a 6004 SLS whatever for a Springfield operator with X400. So I can put a fucking laser on this bitch if I want to. All right. All of these things, Safariland was very, very smart by using an adjustable tension on the holster body. So it allows for a lot of variations. Vampire works. AB model 300s work. 400 works. All that shit works for this holster. So in the future, I will only buy X400 holsters when I'm buying new rigs. So that if for some reason I end up with a, I don't know, not dual fuel, but some 1,000 lumen X400 with a really bright ass fucking green laser or something that I just think is really cool. And I only have it around for that once a year that I go fuck around with Bill and shoot one of his shield classes or something. I'll have a holster that fits it. So Dremel tool time. In order to get the gun to fit in there with the mounting plate and the RMR, you got to cut the front out. If you see the curvature right there, I needed to bring this cut down another 1/8 of an inch across here. Fisher did that. Fisher's gun fits. Fisher has this exact same holster, and his pistol fits in better than mine. Mine will close, but I have almost no room in there. So if I come and index this pistol and start to pull up on the grip in order to push down on the SLS, it gets real tight in there. So by cutting another 8 inches, an eighth of an inch, excuse me, off of there, I'm going to get a lot more clearance room for the holster. The other modification that Fisher's done is he's drilled a hole straight in here, and he's run shock cord bungee around the front and attached it, I believe, either through here or down here. So when he hits his SLS, it fucking flings the hood forward like the Blade Tech style thumb brake rotating hoods do. So this will be this style holster. This SLS is going to be it for the Press Check Night Fighter pistol and for any 1911 RMR guns that you guys got out there for the foreseeable future. I don't know of a holster that provides retention that will do better than this gun. And this is a 6004 USN, USN dash 5614. Springfield operator with X400 light. Ta-da, there you go. All right, next question. Can I elaborate on what constitutes an offensive handgun versus a defensive handgun and how the Roland Special fits into that? Yeah. If I'm going to hurt people, if I am leaving the house with the intention of fucking committing deadly force, then I've got tools for that. And they are going to be big and heavy and bulky and not concealable, and they're going to carry all the bullets, and they're going to be laser fucking accurate. And I will probably sacrifice some reliability for capability because I'm going out to do a job and come back. That is very, very different than taking a field pistol, which is extremely durable, lightweight, small cube size, and dump it in a pouch, throw a fucking bungee cord or a flap over the top of it, and run around with a pistol in one of my ammo pouches of my vest. Two totally different jobs. All right. I might be going out to hurt people carrying a sidearm, but I'm hurt. But in that environment, it is the probability of having to use my pistol versus the amount of hours in the environment and the harshness of operating in that environment are different. So Blowers does all of his fucking gun shit on all his sexy videos using this kind of 6000 old school drop leg hanger wannabe 6004 fucking thing, right? I hate these. I fucking hate these because when I strap on my gear, the boss might be like, all right, first shooting drill is going to be on small arms, whatever range, and see you guys out there in 15 minutes. Small arms, whatever range is 1.4 miles away. And I have to run from my fucking team room just to start the day's marksmanship, just to start training. 1.4 mile run out in full gear. If you don't think that's not going to sort out your fucking armor and what you have flapping off your body and how you have your shit configured, let me tell you something. It will. This goes into a whole discussion about gear and what just because cool guys use something downrange doesn't necessarily mean it's the best tool to use in domestic jobs. So when I argue with Bill that this fucking holster body attachment, whatever, is a complete fucking hunk of fucking dog shit, his response is, you know how far it is from the back of my fucking Bearcat to the 3 side of a house? With an offset VDO, maybe a block. Maybe a city block, Chuck. And I'm like, Okay. So it's the right tool for the right job. If I can get away with the weight penalty, if I can accept, I have enough reserves in my tank, endurance wise, capability wise, strength wise, all of that to carry a heavier pistol in an environment that is not going to cause the gun not to work, then I'm going to carry the most accurate and capable gun that I can find. And then from there, I just start backing it off. And the Roland Special was uh, a gun that you could flat out like go hurt people with. It had most of the capabilities of a what you would want an offensive handgun to do, but it didn't take up any larger footprint than carrying this little bastard with a flashlight on it, because the comp went out as far as the X300 did. So you had all this additional capability for little to no penalty on weight or bulk on your gear. So that's what I meant by that. All right. Going back to sorry guys, fucking Blowers hit me up about some shit. He and I are traveling together on Sunday. So next question is motherfuckers need to quit blowing up my phone. That's what they need to do. All right. Tyler Hawks asks, Surefire X300 U-boat A model or B model for Glocks? I like the A model, and the reason why is because of that right there. All right, that matters to me. There's no laser attached to this. I don't have a problem with wobble. I do have some B model attachment stuff. I bought this shitty ass 9mm STI on Gunbroker 5 years ago or something like that, and the guy actually had this light rail machined. This is not an STI tactical 5.0 whatever lower dust covered thing. So when you put it on here, even with the Picatinny rail adapter, you get a lot of slop and flop. So having the B model where I could torque down on that metal dust cover and really tighten up the light works for this pistol. But as you can see, with a Nighthawk that's built to spec, very, very little movement up and down, whatsoever. The Press Check Night Fighter is going to be the same way. So I personally, for U-boats, I prefer the A, and then for the X400s and shit like that, obviously they come in the B model. So. Pistol sights and eye dominance, having a hard time focusing because you're cross-eye dominant. Yes. So you have two choices. learn to shoot wrong-handed, which people hate because of the dexterity problems of it, or start dry firing and learn to shoot cross-eye. So whenever I do not have my glasses on because of my stigmatism in my firing eye, I'm about 20/30 in my firing eye. I will turn my head. If you ever see me pick up somebody's gun to dry fire it and I don't have my glasses on, I will pick up the gun and I will turn my head and I will dry fire the weapon because I never like to waste a good rep aiming. I will dry fire the weapon with as perfect of a sight picture as I can. And that means I got to be able to see the sights. So if for some reason I'm not corrected and I pick up a firearm with iron sights on it, I will always dry fire using my left eye, even if the gun's in my right hand. Press Check Night Fighter is my signature pistol that I just announced. I will talk about it later. Do plastic pistol producers have a number for the service life of guns in years? No, but considering Glocks came out in the 80s and there are still Glocks that are around, I would say it's probably over 30. Over 30. I wish I had my first Glock 19. It was an early Gen 2 that I bought for my wife in 1992. And I gave it to that bitch in the divorce and she fucking pawned it. And I wish I'd have known that she needed money, that stupid pirate hooker. I would have bought the fucking gun from her, but she didn't tell me about it. And so then when I went to her later on, realized, fuck, man, my ex has got an early fucking serial number Gen 2 that's probably worth a little bit of money. I need to buy that back from her. And that's when my daughter basically said, "Yeah, I haven't seen that gun in years, Dad. I think she sold it for cash." And whatever. So unfortunately, I don't have that gun to fucking show off. But there are absolutely frames that are at the 30-year mark that have shown no polymer degradation as far as like becoming brittle and breaking apart and shit like that. I don't know what the actual service life on a plastic gun is going to be. Let me tell you, I will be long dead and buried before any of my Glocks die of old age in the apocalypse. Steve Beaver says primary and secondary had a long discussion talking about shotguns in the modern world. Mostly from the perspective of civilian and military, or civilian and law enforcement. Do I think that shotguns have any application on the modern battlefield other than breaching and less lethal? No, honestly, I don't. The argument could be made that potentially shotguns have some usefulness in ship assaults. But yeah, nothing. There's not a single thing from fucking guard duty at the front gate to, anything. I know one guy that's carried a shotgun as his primary in my entire time in the DoD. And he had a Benelli 1014 that he ran during house assaults in Baghdad. And they got into a couple scrapes, what we call block parties, where you're receiving fire from down the street. You're having to maneuver through and clear multiple compounds to get to the threat. And that threat is not the threat that you went out that night to go apprehend or whatever. And as he became a spectator to the gunfight, because everybody else is shooting an easy 200-yard shots, not far. So everybody else is trading licks at 200, and he just had to sit down in the walled compound and cradle his shotgun between his legs and lean up against the wall and wait for the fucking shooting to stop, because he had just become a spectator. He could not participate in that gunfight because he had the wrong gun for the job. And that's the last time that I ever saw anyone carry a shotgun in combat. Next question. Have I shot the STI Omni yet? No, I haven't shot the STI anything in a while, because that company has not impressed me with its quality control and consistency of manufacture. I've never owned an STI or seen anyone own an STI that worked out of the box, ever. I've got an STI, the fuck is the name of that little compact motherfucker? Enforcer or something, some little fucking sub compact single stack 9 STI that will not go through a fucking magazine without a stoppage. This STI is old and beat the fuck up. Even when it was in better shape, I got it and the first week that I had it, the sear went out, the gun went auto on me, and I had to ship it off to a real gun manufacturer, custom gun manufacturer, to fix. And obviously, I have some experience with a rumored STI government program. I am in possession of 2 of those STI tactical 5-inch guns that I've bought off the internet. The 40s, and they fucking guns. It wasn't just that they didn't run consistently. They had MIM parts. The finish was fucking dog shit. The trigger sucked. That like STI just has not impressed me as a manufacturer. Atlas, Dawson, others that fucking tweak STI guns. Joe Barnesfather at Superior Firearms. Other people's STI guns are fucking amazing, but STI's STI guns have never impressed me. They just haven't. And I'm not saying that because I got some kind of butt hurt with the company or whatever. I wouldn't go on the larger internet and just throw that out there just because, hey, fuck those guys. And I'm not an STI guy. I'm not sponsored by STI or whatever. I've just had a lot of bad experience with STI. So it would scare me if I went to them and said, hey, you need to build me a Costa pistol, but a Chuck pistol, and we need to do this. We need to go into a partnership together or whatever. Like, I would be scared to put my name on those guns until they could show me, hey, we're under new management. We've got new leadership. Chuck, you're talking about 10-year-old shit. You don't have a single STI in your repertoire that's less than 10 years old. We're a new company with the same name. Okay, well, let me shoot an STI, and I'll tell you in 5,000 rounds whether I'm willing to put my name on it or not. But as of right now, there's no financial motivator for me to see if STI has changed their quality control or anything like that. And that's the reason why it's been the policy of primary and secondary for a couple of years now that we don't advocate the STI platform as a duty weapon, even as an assaulter pistol, because you just don't know what you're going to get. And there used to be magazine issues. STI no longer makes their own magazines. Now they outsource them shits. And these fucking mags are awesome. I mean, yes, they're STI, but they're made by MGB or MBG or so, I don't know, fucking somebody. And these mags, especially these tactical black motherfuckers, are great compared to the 20 or so 170 STI mags that I have in 9mm and 40 that are all problematic until I bought a Dawson rebuild kit that has spacers and crunchers and a DVD, and it teaches you how to measure and bend and fucking manipulate your mags to get them into the right spec that they need to be at. So, all right, moving on. Got a lot of questions today. If Blowers would stop texting me. Okay, Bill, I'm bringing my assault rifle to. Yay, assault rifles. Tom Gorman wants to know what the range is for the Night Fighter class in Arizona. It was supposed to be at Cowtown, but Cowtown has got new leadership. And the host said that he's going to rebook it for Glen Avery because Cowtown was asking for like over $500 a day for range fees or whatever. So until unless the host tells me otherwise, I'm going off the assumption that the Night Fighter class in Phoenix is going to be held at the Ben Avery range. I've never been to either one of these ranges, but I know they're both northwest section-ish of Phoenix. And so I Googled Ben Avery, and then I looked for Hamptons, and there's a bunch of Hilton and Holiday Inn options that are all within 10 miles of Ben Avery / Cowtown. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just fucking booking a room. Fuck it. And I will drive to wherever my range is at once they tell me finally where the range is. Blah, 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 blah. Fucking Blowers. Okay, what about a jacket? Are you bringing a jacket? He really just asked me if I'm bringing a jacket. That's fucking hilarious. No, Bill, I'm not bringing a jacket to fucking Texas. Yes, I'm going to bring a jacket just in case. And if you were a betting man, you would said Arc'teryx, Chuck. You're bringing some Arc'teryx, aren't you? Because I ain't fucking poor. Joe London, I'm really interested in your thoughts on the Hudson 9. Haven't shot it. Yes, I saw some Instagram about some tactical models of the Hudson. That's cool. I still am trying to come to grips with what the fuck I would do with a flashlight and how I would be manipulating or operating that white light on that system. But other than that, it's interesting. Any chance on doing a rifle sling tutorial? Sure. That's from Christopher. Christopher wants to know about rifle slings. So this is my Hodge 1.5. First off, I will tell you that my rifle sling location is normally dictated by the available fucking attachment points on the gun. I love modularity. That's great. But if I was to make a fucking rail, I would have attachment points in the back here by the fucking slip ring. Barrel nut, excuse me. We don't have slip rings anymore. And then I would also have attachment points at 6, 9, and 12 all the way up on the front of the gun. And they would have steel liners in them and lock in. Hodge and some of the other guys do not do that shit because it adds money to the cost of that. You can't just be throwing sling swivel studs into aluminum. Steel, aluminum loses. So you have to have liners in here to accept that shit. So for this fucking Hodge 1.5 with the original Geisley rail that Jim Hodge fucking hates that I still have on here. But he pinned and welded this fucking hider, so I can't get it off. Sorry, dude. This is it. This is where my sling goes 90% of the time anyway. It's going to give you a more like single point capability as far as being able to slew the gun around and do work without having the sling like loose as fuck, right? If you have a sling point all the way forward like Pat Mack does, you've got to really loosen your sling up to be able to manipulate the gun when you're in full kit. It's fine for shooting on the flat range, but when you jock up and man up, the sling has to be exceedingly long, or else you feel restricted in your movement as you're driving the gun across your sector of fire as you're moving. By moving the sling attachment point back, you can have the sling tighter to your body and still retain good wide fucking range of motion. What can't you do? You can't use the sling for good positional shooting. Other than maybe wrapping this thing around the magazine to tighten it up a little bit, you're not going to be able to get an arm in there or do any of your traditional NRA or international rifle long range style sling supported positions. That is why on my fighting guns, I put a secondary sling attachment point up front. Because if a dude is far enough away that I'm going to be digging into a sling and establishing a good firing position to hit that fucking guy at 300, 400, 500, 600 yards away, I got time. I got time as I'm getting my old tired broke ass down and into position to undo this, click it in the front, and then wrap into this sling and adjust it for the precision shot. All right. Seated on the side of a hill, kneeling next to a rock, whatever. Okay. On the backside, I always attach my sling on the outside to where I have it. And this gives me a little bit more room. So if I have to come across to shoot, and there are a couple different ways that I shoot offhand. I can pass the gun, okay? I can pass the gun over and actually get into a left-handed position with the sling still around my neck. Or if it's loose enough, it can actually be around my neck and across my back, and I can still get in there without killing myself. All right. If this had been attached on the other side, I'd be giving myself a gi choke right now. But if it's a fast shot, I don't need to necessarily pass the gun across at all. I can stay right-handed, come over, and I can fire right-handed left arm, all right, or left shoulder right-handed. So I still have the same tactile trigger press. I've just shifted the gun over, and I'm using left shoulder, left eye, but I'm doing all of my manipulations off of my strong hand instead of having to switch over and fuck around with ambi controls and all that stuff. So I will do that at closer engagements. But I got to be receiving a lot of fire before I do any of that silly shit anyway. Like, if I could poke my head around and nobody shoots at me, I'm going to step out and zap a bitch. If I poke my head out and the entire side of the building fucking explodes into spall and secondary from Dishkas and fucking whatever, and an RPG goes skipping by or something, then I'm going to put as little of meat out there as possible. But my default for anything is an appropriate standard firing position executed rapidly rather than tactical yoga into a contorted firing position where I'm going to lose time getting into and out of the position and accuracy or recoil mitigation. So my ability to fire rapidly multiple incapacitating shots. I'm constantly doing the math. What am I risking by exposing myself and taking the shot in 2 seconds versus staying behind cover, rolling into some tactical yoga, and firing semi-accurate shots in 3 to 5 to 8 seconds or whatever. And I'm just doing the time distance math of these firing solutions in the gunfight in real time. Like, yep, I'm willing to take 2 seconds exposed to end that dude. Pow, moving on with my life. Or that dude will punch my ticket if I stay exposed for 2 seconds. Let me curl up in a ball here and do this and brace that. And oh shit, get a fist under here so my ejection port isn't blocked, and crack, and fucking take him that way. It's all about what I can get away with. Okay? So that about covers fucking slings. Next question. Adrian Gonzalez has got a question about it's not really about Rudy Project lenses. That just happens to be what he has. He's talking about prescription lenses, and he's saying that his white phosphorus PVS 15s are causing distortion, and he can never make them focus enough to get a clear image. For his pistol dot, have you found any kind of issues with my corrected lens as far as night vision usage? All right. If Adrian is on here, fuck it, I'm not even going to ask. So on the PVS 31 and the Panos and whatever else, they do not have diopter adjustment anymore. Okay. Meaning you cannot correct the night vision for the naked eye. The PVS 14, Anvis goggles, PVS 23, Sentinel goggles, all of those allow for ocular adjustment on the eyepiece side of your night vision. And that eyepiece adjustment is designed to account for your prescription lenses. So if you were unaware of that fact, it is possible that you have the ocular side adjusted. It was adjusted prior to you getting them, or just by dumb luck, so that when you are unaided in your vision, everything looks cool in the gang. But when you put your prescription lenses on, now you're double prescriptioning yourself. The fucking nods were already prescription to your prescription, and you've got your fucking eyeballs, your corrected lenses behind that. So in the event that is potentially a problem, I will tell you what I always tell people that have ocular adjustment capability on their night vision, and that is focus front, back, front. So look at something, a fucking tree in your yard, whatever. Close one eye. Do this shit one eye at a time. Okay, close one eye. Grab the front of that bitch. Turn it till it gets as fucking clear as it can be. And that might still be fuzzy as shit. And then go to the rear and then turn it until it's no longer fuzzy. That tree is as crisp as it can fucking be. Now, go back to the front, look at what you want to see. Normally it'll be out towards infinity, and then dial it until infinity has been reached. And the only time you should touch it again is if you're up close and you need to dial your fucking nods back in to look at something inside of 21 feet. I run all of my nods on infinity almost all the time. I don't use fucking bug eye caps and fucking Navy SEAL fucking bullshit. None of that. When I go in the house, I just accept that all the shit environment around in my environment around me is going to be somewhat fuzzy. And the only time that I'm going to change from that is if I'm trying to look at something specific, like fucking picking a lock or putting a charge or placing a shotgun or something like that. If there's something that I need absolute focus within arm's distance, that's when a flip over cover can help out. But always, always, always when adjusting your night vision, far, then near, then far, then switch eyes and repeat. Now, on 31s and panos, they now have sacrificial lenses on the near side that are prescription. So when you buy, not when you buy, for you enthusiast people, I don't give a shit. For you government people, your night vision servicing department, the people that are responsible for your actual services of your nods, should have parts bins with plus minus 0.5, minus 1 plano, plus 1, plus 1.25. All that bullshit that's on your prescription that you get from the doctor, they've got corresponding caps that go on the back of your night vision that correspond to that shit. Or if you're wearing prescription glasses for your ballistic eyewear, then 0, baby. Make my nods Superman vision. And don't worry about it. Correct your eyes using your ballistic eye protection, not your night vision goggles. Because as soon as you flip up your nods, if you've got Clear Eye Pro on under them that's non-prescription, now you're operating in a flashlight or white light, street light environment, and you don't have the 20/20 vision that you need. So I'm a big fan of correct your vision with your ballistic eye protection and run your night vision on 0 plano. What do you do for skills maintenance on the carbine? Edward asks. Basically similar to no fail pistol. Do I have a drill for the rifle that is similar to no fail pistol? No, I don't. Because honestly, I do not shoot rifle that much because rifle is just easy. Like if you can't shoot a rifle, you fucking go kill yourself. Any Instagram monkey can shoot a carbine. Carbines don't impress me. That's not where men are made. Men are made with the blaster, and I'm gonna do some rifle work. I'm gonna do some rifle videos, but I just it's really easy to be really good, and so as soon as I start trying to get out on YouTube or whatever, trying to market videos, some kid that's 20 years younger than me and like all fucking jacked up and whatever and did one tour in the fucking Marines or something, and he's going to get out there with his tattooed biceps or whatever, and he's going to be like, oh, look at my fucking 1 to 5 in 2 seconds flat or whatever. And I'm like, not fucking impressing me, bro. But it impresses all the people that buy our classes. And so that dude's going to make a shit ton of money and have full up 20-man classes, fucking 30 classes a year. And I'm going to be over here like, anybody want to shoot rifles? Like, good. And nobody's going to sign up for my shit. Because, like, fuck, old man, motherfucker's way too slow. He's not fast. That's not sexy. So it's hard to it's hard for the Instagram crowd to deal with the success of no fail pistol, because motherfuckers know they can't shoot that good. And when I go out and figure out some rifle drill that is going to show true talent with the carbine, and it will probably be very, very small shit at extended distances. We have DRM courses or SDM courses or whatever you want to call them, sniper light courses, where people go out and shoot at man-sized shit at 600, 700 yards with their AR-15s. And then we've got flat range courses that are 50 yards and in. But there is very, very few precision 100-yard courses. So if I were to do a no-fail drill, it would probably be timed events on something about 4 inches in size at 100 yards, like rapid fire for time on the black of a B8 only. And if you throw anything out of the 9 ring, then go fucking kill yourself or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Blowers just asked if I was going to wear a hat. Okay, now he's officially fucking with me. Fucking dick. I don't know how I work in conditions like these. Good thing that guy's a great American. CQB weapon manipulation techniques, CQB/vehicle weapon manipulation techniques, and tricks with longer guns like a 20-inch barrel or an M24. As a general rule, get the gun out of the car. That's one thing. Step out further and square up on the threshold if you have a rifle so that you can get the gun more oriented horizontal prior to committing or digging a corner. So don't ride the hinge into the room when you're carrying a musket, because somebody's going to come and fucking cock block the top of your 20-inch rifle. You have to be very, very careful with larger AR style 7.62 guns. They buffer really, really weird, and I have seen guys trying to blindly fire SRs at people, and they've had malfunctions, much like limp wristing a Glock. By not having that SR into their shoulder, it's not allowing the gas system something to butt up against for the rifle to recoil. And so as the weapon gives in their hands, there's not enough gas to cycle the fucking gun, and they create a malfunction. So techniques where you're like jacking the gun up and going over the shoulder with it and putting your cheek up by the scope and shit like you see in some of these Hollywood movies, where guys are doing CQB with M16 style rifles. Don't try to do CQB with an SR25 like that, because you're going to end up choking your fucking rifle. And don't do CQB with fucking 5-shot hunting rifles either. So leave your M24 on your back and work with your pistol. Next question. That is all of the $10 patrons. Now we are down to the lowly poors, my poor subscribers. James Cackman asks, if you're a dude trying to build a general set of carbine skills, assume a 14.5 to 16-inch AR with an LPVO, okay? What is good enough for competency? We don't see dudes trying to center punch people at 900 and only shooting up drills at 25 is gay. Where do we draw the line between the two extremes? So, unlike pistol, rifle external ballistics matter. So the further away you are from the target, not only do you need to be more inherently accurate because you're getting angular deviation of spread, you're also giving the round more time in flight for external ballistics to affect the flight of the bullet, a la motherfucking gravity and wind, right? So I tell dudes that can't shoot at 25-yard, their minute of a fucking barnyard, to go forward and shoot at smaller shit, like a 3-inch circle or a 1-inch paster. But at some point, with the large diameter of handgun bullets, if I'm shooting a 1-inch pasty at 5 yards and I blow it out, all I'm starting to do is bore that fucking hole out even more. Get your head out of the gutter, you perverts. So, but we'll go with that analogy. So at some point, you're launching pills, and it's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway. You bored out this now 2-inch hole where you had been shooting a 1-inch pasty, and you're just firing, and you're not seeing any clean bullet misses, and you're like, I'm fucking awesome. I'm fucking awesome. I'm fucking awesome. Well, you were awesome until you took your 1-inch pasty and increased your scoreable area to 2 inches by eating out the edges of it with errant bullet shift. So if you are doing that where you're cookie cuttering your target up, you're shooting too close. So you need to back the fuck up so that you can now see an actual spread and determine what you're doing wrong so that you're not masking your human error within the statistical impact area of your fucking beaten zone on your target. With rifles, if you are shooting further away and you have all this other shit going on, you need to narrow down mechanically what are you capable of doing with your weapon. So I'm a big fan of shooting 100 yards at very, very small shit instead of let's go out and shoot at 400 yards at fucking LaRue targets or whatever. When you shoot steel out at distance, unless you've got really good sniper glass and you're taking the time to rehab the targets frequently, you're just relying on this. Pow, ping, fuck yeah, I'm a fucking rock star. Sniper, what? And but are you really getting the downrange feedback that you need? Whereas it's not nearly as sexy, it's not nearly as fun, but laying your ass on the 100-yard line and stacking rounds into an X ring is going to show you inherently what the mechanical capability in mils or minutes of angle that your gun and you and your ammunition and your optic all tolerance stacked are providing for you. And then once you know that you're good to go, then you move it back and you start doing some shit at 200 or 300 or whatever. Jordan says DeForce standards. Yes, of course, DeForce standards. Fucking Kyle learned a lot shooting at Tiger Swan, along with guys like Brian Searcy and the training cadre there. He took a lot of Army-derived shooting skill drills that were not very prevalent over on the Navy side. And because he's just naturally talented, he started incorporating those drills. And now you look at Kyle. Kyle, if you didn't understand Kyle's resume and he went and taught you, you would think that he was trained in the Army to shoot. And I'm not saying the 82nd Army. I'm talking about Army Special Operations. He shoots like an Army soft guy, and that's because culturally he took some of those great marksmanship developmental techniques and he applied them, and it made him a much, much better shooter than he was before he was exposed to them. DeForce, my boy. DeForce, my boy. When I grow up, I want to be like Kyle, not a retired Navy frogman, but a dude that fills up his classes because guys get it. And he doesn't have to post a lot of flashy self-promotion internet bullshit. Dudes just know. Like, dude, DeForce class is an accuracy-based class, and it's a fucking you know, a soul crushing event if you can't fucking shoot. So that's kind of what I've done with no fail pistol, and I'm going to eventually, whenever I have a no fail rifle, I will do that as well. And yes, where DeFore does some things better than I do is DeFore is really good at manipulating and applying all of his fundamentals agnostic of equipment. And I've got a really bad recoil anticipation flinch. And so I rely heavily on mechanical advantage. And if you throw a gun at me that has an unfamiliar, it doesn't have to be a heavier trigger necessarily, but an unfamiliar trigger to me, and then ask me to perform at combat speeds, shit gets really inconsistent until I figure out the trigger of whatever gun you've put in my hand. If that makes any sense. So, yep. Will Foster, what role did PT and diet play throughout your career? What was my plan or my regime as I grew as a person, both physically and mentally? So, Will, you know, when I came in the Army, the Rangers were all very lean. They looked like they were distance runners. You did not see Rangers that were very big in stature. And they were all lean, like swimmer, cyclist, distance athlete kind of running, because of the amount of long duration, steady state, high cardio that was required, like rucking. So we ran 4 days a week, and we rucked on the 5th day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we ran minimum 3 miles, maximum of about 7 or 8. Normally would only do one run over 5 a week. And then on Thursday, we rucked 50 pounds plus gear. So if you're a weapon squad guy, that's 50 pounds plus gun gear. So M122 tripod, 17.5 pounds with T&E, spare barrel, you know, and the pig. So, you know, if you're a weapon squad guy or a mortar guy or an AT guy, you were, you know, carrying the fucking Carl G. You were carrying more than the other infantrymen that you were rucking with. And then we had our load bearing kit, and our LBEs normally weighed empty without mags, probably 20 pounds. And then, you know, fully loaded 20, 29 or 30 back then. So we would ruck minimum 6, maximum of, we would do 6, 8, 10, 12, 6, 8, 10, 12 each week during the month. And then once a quarter, we did a 20 miler. And once every 6 months, we did a 30 miler. And then we did upper or lower body PT. So we did, I think we did abs Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and we did upper body Tuesdays and Thursdays, or maybe it was flip flopped. I can't remember. But it was all body weight exercises. So we never went to the gym. We would warm up, we would run, and when we came back from the run, we would do round robin calisthenics. Just various body weight exercises, dips, pull-ups, push-ups on upper body days, on ab days, leg raisers, mountain climbers, flutter kicks, sit-ups, you know, hello dollies, shit like that, all core related abdominal exercises. So when I was in the Ranger Regiment, I was never over 200 pounds. Since I left the Ranger Regiment, I've never been under 200 pounds. So I was very lean, and I was taking in a lot of calories every day, and I pretty much ate whatever and drank whatever I wanted. So you know, fighting weight for me in my 20s was about 185 to 195 pounds was my fighting weight. and I was running 5 miles in about 35-ish minutes. I could do a mile in about 5:05 and 2 miles in about 11 flat. And then I could fin in the ocean or in a river. I could fin about a kilometer in just under 15 minutes when I had rocket fins on. I was a Ranger Scout swimmer, so I did over the beach surface infill stuff to recon beach landing sites back when the Rangers still had a maritime mission. So I did not use any type of SCBA, tanks. Uh, I would launch off the Zodes or Helocast or parachute in and then swim to the beach and recon the beach. And then once I left the Rangers, I went into a staff assignment. Just kind of that's when I started getting into the gym a little bit. I started bulking up some. I quit running, and that's when I started to have to watch my weight because I just wasn't doing the long endurance cardio stuff that I was doing back when I was younger. Joined Asymmetric Warfare Group, deployed, and it was kind of the same thing. I wasn't doing a lot of organized PT. I was just in combat, and just my PT was fucking going on patrol in 130-degree heat wearing body armor. That was PT, and then going and getting my lift on at the gym. So I bulked up, after I left the Ranger Regiment. Fighting weight for me went up to about 220 to 225. And then there was times that I came back into that where I increased my cardio based upon the job requirements or whatever. But I'd say past the age of 30, the lightest I got back down to was about 205 pounds. I got down to 205 once when I was really doing some intensive physical therapy shit. So now I would kill to be back at 220 again. If I could get back down to 220, I would be doing pretty good for myself. And exercise for me now is just mobility stuff to keep the joints lubed up so that I can move because I'm so broken down orthopedically from all those hard miles that I put running with a ruck on, rucking all the time. That it took its toll on me. So now, if I want to be able to do a no-fail pistol class, just walking back and forth up and down the 25-yard line with a fully loaded gun belt on, by the afternoon, I've got serious mobility issues where I've got to take the gun belt off just to give the arthritis in my right hip a chance to kind of subside because I've got this like dull throbbing pain, like somebody's hitting me in the fucking hip with a baseball bat. So, I wish that I had trained and done PT like I did when I was at 205 to 210 pounds. I wish I was training like that back when I was 180 to 185 pounds. I think I would have been a lot stronger. And even if that had bumped me up to 200 pounds at weight, it would have preserved my combat chassis longer. And I might even still be in the military today. I retired a couple years shorter than I wanted to because I was basically physically incapable of doing my job. And because I couldn't cardio like I needed to, and I was struggling on the diet side, my weight was just off. My weight's been off like the past 10 years because I just can't PT like I need to eat like I'm accustomed to. So, short of some type of appetite suppressant therapy, to where I'm going to be able to fast because caloric choices like going to keto or calorie counting or whatever, it only works so far. At the end of the day, I've got a voracious appetite, and like most things, I'm prone to excess. So I'm either full throttle or I'm full stop. So for me, controlling caloric intake via fasting is the most appropriate diet technique. But now I'm just fighting through the appetite suppressant side of that because I'm fucking halfway through the day and I'm ready to fucking kill people. I'm so hungry. And I didn't used to always have an appetite like that. Now, so some of the antidepressants that I was on before killed some of my appetite, but I'm not on those antidepressants anymore. So I've got to look at it holistically. Next year, when I go get my brain scans get my brain zapped in California to deal with some of the TBI that I've got, I will be going to Exos and doing a half a day of intensive physical therapy, trying to get some mobility back. And I'll be doing that for 8 weeks in California next year. So I'm excited about that. Randall says H59 or Trimmer 3. Good question. I was not a fan of Trimmer. I jumped out of the sniper game right about the time that Hodnet was talking to us about doing Trimmer. Okay. I've got a Trimmer 3 on the Loophole scope that I have. But I'm a big fan of Christmas trees, man. Like, more reference points. Mills mean shit. I'm a sniper. I don't like to admit it. But man, I like the ability to fucking slew to a correction without having to dial and fire a rapid follow-up shot. I'm a big fan of it. The Trimmer actually has more reference points in it than I thought. I think Todd went back in and added some shit in there. I think that the original Trimmer was too minimalist, but I could be wrong. I was leaning towards H59, but I got a deal on a Trimmer 3 that I couldn't refuse. All right, second half of your question. On a Mark 6, don't buy a Mark 6, okay? The Mark 5 is a better fucking scope. The Mark 5 is a better scope than the Mark 6. From all the feedback that I've gotten, that the Mark 5 through 0.5 to 18 or whatever that I've got on my Marisol Defense Hodge, that thing it's just better. It's just better fucking glass than the Mark 6 that I used to have. The Mark 6 3 to 18 I used to have. They should have called that Mark 5 the Mark 7, honestly. Price not being an issue. What's the best LPVO? E-model Razor 1 to 6 with, for me, a mil reticle, because again, I'm a sniper and fucking tick marks mean shit. But any reticle will work because none of that shit's going to be true to your damn trajectory and barrel and external ballistics anyway. So it's all just reference points to hold Kentucky windage on shit. And as long as you know where to hold for what distance, it doesn't matter what the ticks actually fucking mean. As long as you know where on the ticks that are in that screen, you need to be putting shit on the bad guy for various distances and wind conditions. So a dope card for your rifle, you could hand me a rifle that literally, and not tell me whether it's MOA, Mills, or some type of BDC. And if I went out and field fired that fucker and took notes, I could make a dope card and run with that rifle like right out of the gate and be fine. But because Mills do measure shit, and there is math and equations and stuff, I use Mills. The Fisher, Kales, Calhees, whatever. I looked through one. They're pretty fucking awesome. A little bit lighter than the Vortex. Glass is just as good. Brightness is almost as good, but it's more expensive by I think $500 or something. So if weight is a big issue for you, then go with the Cals. If money's not an option and weight is, then fucking go with the Cals or Calese or not, whatever. If you don't give a shit about weight, fucking Vortex Echo. Dr. Optics. Dr. Optics were the shit, Sydney, back in the day. That was my first red dots. The problem is they quit shipping them into the United States, and then Trigicon bought them, and you could only get them through Trigicon for a while. And they were very, very expensive. But as far as the electronics in them being durable, they were one of the best internally electronic durable optics that were out there. They're not durable from impact. If you dropped your gun on the ground, you're going to bust that glass. I had a Doc Optics on my Sims pistol, and I ended up getting into a gun grab in a training event, and the fucking pistol got knocked out of my hand, and it landed on the optic, and the fucking glass just completely spiderweb up off the corner. Now I could get enough of the glass down on the lower right that I could still make shots, especially with paint. But that was the last doctor that I had. I had to retire it. It didn't make it. I don't know anything about Ernie Anderson's asking about Modcast last night, and he said if I could talk about the new Hodge machine gun because it sounds legit. I have no idea what you're talking about a Hodge machine gun. This is the first I'm hearing of it. Alex is asking, about to buy another 19 Glock 19. Should I go for the Gen 4 front serration model or the Gen 5 MOS front serration model? I would go with the Gen 5, even if the MOS sucks. And the reason for that is the trigger pack on the Gen 5 is fucking amazing. The trigger is noticeably better than the Gen 4. And the barrel on the Gen 5 is match quality from Glock. The Gen 5 guns are the first Glock that I could get on board with the anti gun modification crowd's fucking war cry of put front sights on it or put iron sights on it and shoot 1,000 rounds and go to a training class and rolling specials are stupid and whatever. Dude, you're a fucking moron. But that pistol is the first pistol that is out of the box as capable as I am. That gun will shoot that Gen 5, those Gen 5 barrels will shoot sub 2-inch groups at 25. Stock sub 2-inch groups. And the trigger is fucking great. I mean, does that mean that I'm not going to get an aftermarket trigger? I want to see what a Gen 5 trigger feels like after 15,000 rounds. I bet you they're fucking smooth as butter, man. Like as good as any aftermarket trigger that you could find out there once you get them broke in. They feel good fucking with 0 rounds on them, So. All right, guys, we're almost done with the patron questions, and I'll go back and scroll through all the all shit from chat, and we'll sort it out. I haven't messed with Barry's. I'm sorry. Jack Lewis is asking about Duke and Baylor mounts for duty. Dude, I ran not milled guns. I ran standard bucket top dovetail guns the whole time that I was in the military. I never once got a milled slide while I was in the military. So I beta tested the Baylor. Fucking Baylor Micro T mount is amazing. I love that thing. For any guys that are carrying that open top life and and looking to save some cash, I would look for used Aimpoint Micros. Aimpoint Micro T1 4 MOAs that people are trying to get rid of. Fucking snatch one of those things up and put it on your blaster on a baler and just go to town with it. Buck Thomas, for those of you that know Buck, he's an old light fighter from way back, former Marine, former contractor, now works out in the oil fields. Buck has been carrying a Glock 19 with an RMR on it, or excuse me, an Aimpoint on it for fucking 5 years or something like that. I killed a couple of RMRs, or goddamn it, a couple micros on guns. Eventually, the recoil will kill the Aimpoint. Specifically, the knob on the side will start to get loose, and then it will start to spin freely, and so the dot will adjust under recoil, but it's not a short in the electronics like it is on RMRs and other things when the dot starts to flicker. This is literally you firing, and while the gun cycles, it jumps from setting 8 down to setting 4 under recoil. And it's because the limiters on the rheostat or whatever, the things that are creating the click, 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 they become worn over time. But the good news is you can feel it as it's starting to go. It's less and less tactile, and you know that your RMR, that your Micro T is on a date for fucking destruction at some point, and it's time to send it off to Aimpoint. I am not 100% on the second part of that question is, have my thoughts about Delta Point changed? Nope, they have not. I still don't think they're duty capable. And am I still 100% on RMR 06 until other options present themselves? I actually shot an RMR 09, which is the 1 MOA or whatever. Shot that bitch at the closed enrollment class that I did with Fisher. And dude, that thing was awesome. That dot was easy to pick up, you know, and that's the beauty about the manual adjustment RMRs, like the 06 and the 09 is, man, if that little tiny fucking red dot is too tiny for you and you're putting the gun up and you're not seeing it, dude, hit that button on the side of that thing and starburst the shit out of that dot. I could turn a 1 MOA dot into a fucking 10 MOA dot. It's just a matter of brightness adjustment. Bing, 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 bing. Just fucking hit that motherfucker. Fucking bloop. Yep. Oh, there's my dot. I don't give a fuck. How many MOA is that? I don't know. Fucking, you know, get after it. But you can't fucking tune down an RMR, whatever, the fucking big fatties, the 6 MOA or 8 MOA or whatever. You can't turn that bitch down for precision shooting at 50 yards. It's just as big as it is. You can make it faint, but you can't make it small. Why do people like Mark 262 Mod 1? Because this is a question from Tom Morgan. Tom, I already answered your question about the Kales. Why does some been there, done that guys like Mark 262? Because it's accurate as fuck. That's why. And they like hitting bad guys. So for an SPR, you know, where you're trying to, you know, nail guys at beyond 400, dude, 262 is accurate as shit. But 262 can't hold a candle to any of the modern self-defense loads. Any TSX, TTSX, TTTX, fucking critical defense, Winchester bonded, like soft nose, None of that shit. All of those 5.56 loads and 223 duty loads, they all outperform 262 for lethality. 262 was not designed with terminal ballistics in mind. That is a boat tail hollow point, which was designed for the best stability in flight. It was not designed to enter the human body and say, surprise cockfags, I'm here to fucking puke on your carpet all up in your fucking chest cavity. That ain't what that bullet was made for. If dudes want to carry and be 0 to 262 and they're carrying 16-inch guns and rural environments or fucking designated marksmen or even possibly patrol carbines for if you have a DMR program for your law enforcement agency. But if it's your standard patrol carbine, domestic gunfight active shooter, that's all that 100 yard and in. And I would rather have a 3-inch at 100 yard bullet that enters the human body and just goes fucking buck wild than a half MOA bullet, which 262 is. 262 will shoot between 0.25 and 0.5 MOA. It is fucking radically accurate, but it's an ice pick. So I'd rather take the 3-inch ammo with devastating terminal effects over the super accurate ice pick. Recommendations: what do you look for in a tactical driver training course for a beginner civilian? Dan, you got to define what a tactical driver training course is. You're talking about a driving performance course as far as better interface for you, how to drive more faster and not lose control of your fucking vehicle, as opposed to tactical formations of driving or counter ambush smashing and driving and shit like that. If you're just talking about sheer driving performance, like I would call it a wheelman school. All right. You're going to be the driver for a bank robbery and you need to be able to get the fuck away from the police. That kind of school. You probably need to go to rally car racing. And you've got there's one out here by me. Red Rock, Rockfish, something racing out here. It's about 30 miles away from me. That is really, really good. Dirtfish, thank you. There's Dirtfish, and then there's O'Neill Rally School out on the East Coast, and those are my top picks for rally. Rally is dirt racing at really, really fast speeds with like little ass Subarus and shit. And go on the YouTube and watch the videos and shit. You're essentially driving blind, and your shotgunner is navigating on a map of the course, and he's telling you up ahead when to turn, and you're turning off cue because you're driving so much faster than your headlights. And I don't mean literal headlights. I mean your ability to visually process and then make decisions. So you're driving beyond that. So you are truly allowing the tactile feel of the steering wheel and the gas pedal and brake pedal under your foot to tell you what the car is doing, and then when you turn and how hard you turn and stuff is largely being dictated by your co-pilot that's rocking a tablet or a laptop that's showing you what the next turn is coming up. Got turn to the right, 3, 2, 1, turn, like that kind of shit. So there's a lot of good driver communication stuff. If you've ever worked in a PSD environment or something where the guy that is running shotgun is maintaining some type of GPS screen for situational awareness or digital mapping, that crosstalk between driver and passenger, a lot of the shit that is discussed in rally schools crosses over to that type of PSD operation where the TC of the vehicle is given the driver directions. And those clear and concise directions mean either success or not success on your navigation. Somebody threw Bondurant out there. Bondurant is more of like a racetrack school. That is another aspect of it where you're taking vehicles and taking them up to very, very high speeds so that you're feeling what traction and braking traction feels like. So how fast can you go and hold it in a turn or some shit like that. And then if you want on the tactical side, and I don't even know if they're open to civilians, but BSR, Bill Scott Racing, in up in Virginia, by Winchester, Virginia, outside of DC on the Virginia-West Virginia border, or ITI out of Richmond, Virginia, both offer good quality PSD driving schools where you're doing motorcade operations, you're getting blocks on people, and then you're doing a lot of high speed vehicle performance as well. I've been to both ITI and BSR, and I like them both for different reasons. So that is all I got to say. All right, we have exhausted the pre-written patron questions. So let's go back to chat and see what you guys have to say on here. Okay. Joel Gooden is asking, how do I like flat triggers? I like them better than curved triggers on all my guns, except for Glocks. All my 1911s are all flat face. This is my wife's Commander T4. I put a flat face on there for her. A little single stack 9. This thing's a little fucking burner here. I wish somebody would make a Commander with a fucking light rail on it. Maybe that's going to happen. You never know. So what is a press check night fighter? Press check night fighter is the limited edition Pro Series signature gun that I'm doing with Joe Chambers from Chambers Customs. So Joe's been doing custom 1911 work for a long time, and it's a full-time trade, and he has a very, very high 1911 nerd client base, like for reals. Steven Seagal has bought several of Joe's pistols, and if you guys know anything about old Steve, that dude's got like 100 fucking 1911s. He's a 1911 freak. So you go back and look at like, fucking Out for Justice and Mark for Death and a lot of his original shit. Once he dumped that trash SIG that he had in for part of the way through Above the Law, he pretty much rocked 1911 frames for a lot of his films for a while. So Joe's been doing really, really great work. Obviously, I moved on from 1911s. I put all my 1911s away, and I picked up these fucking guns about a decade ago because I was running Glock pistols at work, and I was running 1911s at home on the weekend, and my weekend shooting was affecting my work performance, and my work performance was affecting my weekend shooting. And I made the decision that at the limits of the human performance that I was working at back then, and I was much faster than I am now, that at the speed at which I needed natural body position and presentation of the gun to equate to fast shots, having two different grip angles was a very real liability in the real world. If I snatched a fucking 1911 out and presented it with a Glock grip angle, I'm gonna shoot somebody in their dick. If I shoot STIs all weekend at matches and do whatever, and then I go to work and I fucking snatch my blaster out and I heel it and punch it out straight, I end up fucking punching a CD line break on an IPSC target. So the guns didn't point the same. So I reluctantly put my fucking steel guns away, locked them up in the fucking safe, and I didn't touch them for 10 years. And now I'm retired. I can do whatever the fuck I want. So 2018 was supposed to be the year of the steel guns. Unfortunately, the steel guns were not delivered in a timely manner. I still have a CZ Shadow 2 custom that's sitting at the CZ custom shop getting worked on it. It's getting converted over to single action. It's getting a fucking bull barrel put on it for guaranteed 150-yard, 1-inch accurate, and then it's getting cut for an RMR. So I'll have a CZ Shadow 2 converted over to fucking single action. I've got this Nighthawk here. And so I wanted to start playing around and dabbling in steel guns again. I have a real hard time advocating firearms like this for duty use because they're just so inherently fucking finicky. And 99.9% of the shooters that I'm going to talk to on the internet are never going to be able to outshoot this fucking pistol. So why do they need to pay 3 times as much, 4 times as much for this fucking pistol? I'm saying 4 times as much after all the modifications to this. And the answer is for the guys that are at the edge of human performance, I can shoot 98s and 99s with this pistol. I could shoot 98s or 99s with this pistol. When I fuck up on a shot with this pistol, I could still end up with a 98 or a 99. If I fuck up with one round on a slow fire, if I really fucking check out of the fucking trigger pull, I can throw a fucking shot out in the 8 or the 7 with this gun, even with my capability. This Glock is capable of shooting good. It's harder to shoot good, and it is less forgiving when you fuck it up. When things go south during the integrated active firing, they're going to go way fucking south. And you're going to snatch this motherfucker very far off the mark. I might snatch around with this thing and it might still land in the fucking 10 ring. It'll just be a line break down there at 10-9, down off at like fucking 7 o'clock. And that was a legitimate fucking snatch. But because of the single action nature of this trigger, the gun goes bang sooner and there's less ability to move the bullet off of the bull. There's less time for the barrel to deviate before the bullet leaves it. It's simple fucking science. So, if I'm having trouble advocating these things because they're not fucking consistently made by anybody, could I find somebody that could make one of these that would fucking run? And Joe Chambers said, yep, I absolutely know how to make this fucking pistol run. So I took a chance on Joe. Joe took a chance on me. And he and I decided to get together and design a gun. And it's going to look a whole lot like this. It's going to have a lot of the same features as this. 5-inch, double stack, 9mm, RMR cut, light rail. It's going to be a 2011 though. This is a Nighthawk. This is metal. It's an all metal frame. The Press Check Night Fighter gun is going to be metal on plastic to try to keep the weight down, and it's also going to allow for a good aggressive stipple job on it for muddy, sweaty, bloody fucking hands. But my intent with the Press Check Night Fighter pistol was to have a gun that if you were in an apartment where you could carry whatever the fuck you wanted to, and you were one of those outlier guys like Blowers, like Rick Legrassi from SSBI, and a couple other cops that I've run across, Gabe Rivera from Orange County. If you're one of these dudes that is shooting high 90s, and you're looking to make that more consistent, make shooting high 90s easier, and maybe busting that 100 mark, I wanted a pistol that if money was no object, that I could recommend that it would work. And the Chambers Custom Press Check Consulting double stack, because it is not just somebody else's gun modified. For those of you that know anything about 2011 style pistols, the lower receiver of a handgun, a 1911, it's called a dust cover. Okay. And then you'll notice that on 2011 pistols, it's a two-piece design. The rail portion is metal, and then all of this other stuff, the trigger guard, all of that shit, it's all plastic on a regular STI. On this Nighthawk, it's a metal piece and another metal piece. This dust cover here is the actual gun. That's the serial numbered item. So it literally goes from, right there forward. Chambers Customs orders these pieces from an OEM that provides them to multiple manufacturers. But much like Hodge Defense is made by Mega, but it's made to Jim Hodge's specifications. So a pinch lock or a wedge lock rail, they're not the same as some other fucking rail made by Mega. They're made to Jim Hodge's specifications with Jim Hodge's materials. Joe has done things specifically to this pin location here. And if you know anything about 1911s, the barrel has a locking link that locks into that. So you can see how by moving this hole up or down, you're changing the hinge point that the barrel locks and unlocks at. And one of the things that Joe figured out that was fucked up with STI guns was the fucking hole location was off. And so he has changed the design of the gun and moved this by several thou, which creates a more efficient locking, unlocking, and adjust the fucking feed ramp lockup for better feeding of the gun. Now, I'm not a fucking huge fucking gun guy, like nerding out about springs and fucking pins and shit like that. But even as a dumb motherfucker, I'm like, oh yeah, the locking link. Locking link's hooked to barrel. Move the fucking hole location up. You're changing timing wise how that fucking thing is moving along that hinge of the locking link. So that's just one of the things that Joe does different than other semi-custom Nighthawk, semi-custom 1911 manufacturers. So I haven't had any issues with this gun, but I also am less than 300 rounds through this pistol right now. So I'm far from saying, dude, this gun's fucking awesome. It's perfect, blah, 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 blah. So if things go well and we sell all the guns, and I say sell all of them because that's part of the deal, was Joe only wanted to do limited edition runs. So there's only going to be 26 press check guns made total, one for me, and then that's not true. It'll be 27 because Joe's going to get one too. So there'll be 25 for sale. And as of right now, we already have 9 of the 25 sold. So go to Chambers Custom. He's got a link on his website for the new Pro Series. I am the first of several shooting instructors that are going to have their own signature blaster from Chambers Custom. Each gun is going to be built to the customer, or for the customer, but the options are going to be minimal. Like, hey, this is the press check gun. You can have it in any color you want as long as it's black. But when he takes the down payment, then he builds that gun for you and assigns you whatever serial number it's going to be out of the serial numbers that we have, which are currently at ATF for approval. And it'll have a press check serial number on there. So it'd be like, I can't remember what we agreed what the final thing was going to be like. I think it's going to be PCC for Press Check Consulting, or Press Check Chambers Customs. And then it'll be 2019, because that's the year of that run. And then 01 through 27 are going to be the serial numbers. If that goes well, if all 25 guns sell, if I'm not hearing complaints back from customers saying, "Hey man, these guns didn't work; they were too finicky on ammo," whatever. If there are no surprises in this business arrangement, then there will be a Press Check Consulting 2020 run of serial number 1 through serial number whatever, and it'll be a different gun. In 2020, I'll do a different build to a different set of specs, and that'll be the 2020 Press Check Signature pistol. So that's what's up with the Night Fighter. It's the first gun out of the chute of a series of custom hand-built guns by Joe for myself and for some of the other instructors out there. Am I going to make money off of it? Yes. Finally, I'm going to have a gun design, and then I'm actually going to get paid for this. I did enter into a licensing agreement with Chambers Customs for them to use Press Check Consulting as part of their advertisement and their shit. It's not going to have a fucking bar of soap engraved on the side of the motherfucker, anything flashy like that. You guys know the deal, man. I'm just not about that kind of self-promotion life. But I am going to get a percentage off of each one of these pistols that are sold. After the gun sells and it's built and the remainder of the payment's done and you pay in full and he ships it to your FFL, then he will cut a check each time another gun is sold or whatever. So it's a very beneficial arrangement for Joe. I'm honored that he chose me to be his inaugural guy, because the guns he makes are just absolutely fucking fantastic. And yeah, I'll have some residual income out of this. Okay. MCX short 300 blackout. What are your thoughts? Nicholas, you asked me this question in another forum or whatever. I do not have any relevant overseas or operational experience with that weapon system. And I would also say that if there's any platform out there like the SIG MCX, as you guys know it, that's available in the commercial market, it is not the same gun and not built to the same specifications or with the same features or with the same accessories or parts or the same rail or anything else as any rumored guns you might have heard of from that company that were sold to the government that have the same nomenclature. So if you think you've seen a picture of an MCX downrange or whatever, that ain't a fucking MCX like you can go buy at Gun Gallery in Jacksonville. Not the same gun. So I don't know. I don't know what you want me to say about it. Do I like 300? Yeah, I do. I love 300. As long as you're trying to replace a fucking submachine gun with it. Uh, if you are carrying it because it's a fucking assault rifle in an edgy cartridge, yeah, you're being kind of dumb. Um, you're being kind of dumb. Um, yeah, I would not personally own a 300 blackout with a barrel longer than 9 inches. That's my personal uh, philosophy on that cartridge. Um, Elephant Rider, STI Spartan. No, STI Trojan. Trojan? No. God damn it. What is the name of that little gun? It's not a Trojan. Uh, I don't know. I bought it. I bought it in a moment of weakness, and I took it to the range, and I literally have not carried it since it came back. Um, NSA must love those texts. What text between Blowers and I? No, we're law abiding citizens. We're good. Well, mostly law abiding citizens. Um, how is the attachment on my Geissele Mark III versus my HK rail? I like both of them. Uh, I like both of them. I've heard some rumors that some of the newer Geissele stuff has got some drop test issues. It's not taking fucking high impacts on a hard surfaces well, like some crazy massive zero shifting or whatever, but I haven't experienced it. I haven't seen the test data. That's the fucking internet. So I'm just passing along bullshit. And I would not do it outside of this closed forum with the 38 of us and the however many are going to watch this video later. Um, there's a lot of things that I will say in this forum that I would not go on Instagram live and fucking say. And calling out Geissele rails as being um, not drop safe is one of those things that I do not feel comfortable assigning my name to. I'm just passing on some shit I heard fucking somewhere. Um, and what are we talking about? Rubber bands on the stock. Yeah, man, I've been putting rubber bands on my stocks forever. Um, that's where that's they hold on my tourniquet, and before that they used to hold on my Curlex. That's some shit going all the way back to Somalia, um, back when fucking packing wounds was the big fucking thing before tourniquets became the big thing. Uh, Used to keep a roll of Curlex on the buttstock of my rifle. Also, the rubber bands are there for sling stowage in case you don't have, some fucking Treyarch Systems vehicle CQB approved stash and Titan thing for your stock. For years before sling stowage was a thing, we just put rubber bands on various places on the gun and just tacked the fucking sling there. So when you came out of the car, you just busted the rubber bands and slung your shit up. Uh, What else? Yeah, I don't know what he was talking about Hodge machine guns, but the CAC machine gun is awesome. It's not the only lightweight belt fed machine gun out there that's awesome, but that fucking gun is badass for sure. Um, uh, yep, we talked about Dirtfish. We talked about Bondurant. We talked about O'Neill. Join the highway patrol. Yeah, that's what my dad would have told you. Virginia, yeah, I'm gonna get to Virginia at least once in 2019. I might call Jake Weiss. Last time I checked, he was the director of training at Colonial Shooting Academy. So I'll probably book an indoor class in Richmond in 2018. That'd be pretty cool. What pistol models besides Glock do you consider duty grade? Most of them. Most of all of your fucking everything from your Walther PPQ to your MMPs to your fucking 509s to your fucking Glocks, like all of those guns all fucking work. Uh, they all work. They all go bang. Beretta APX, they all shoot. Now it's just a matter of how well do you shoot them stock, and then how much performance if you get up to here and you've maxed out and you're now out shooting the gun, how much more performance can you buy above your max the fuck out? And does any of that performance degrade the gun so badly that it's no longer duty grade? So I think if you have a Roland that you're having to fucking fuck around with a bunch of springs just to get the gun to reasonably cycle, just due to your grip or your shooting style or whatever, or ghosts in the machine, or like none of that is worth having a little bit of a flatter shooting pistol. If it'll only run with 11-pound springs and you're getting failure to feeds, one out of every 3 mags or something, that compensator on that Roland is doing nothing for you if it's making your gun not duty grade. So the gun has to shoot with the ammo that you're going to shoot it with consistently. And then after that, if the modification enhances the pistol and gives you a mechanical advantage, great. But if it's fucking with things, don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, the auto adjust on the old doctor sites were pretty fucking decent, John. They really were. No, 9mm versus 45 does not matter at all in this discussion. Except for I ain't shooting 45 no more. Can't tell you the last time I fired around a 45. I just don't. Even when I had free 45 ammo, I did not bring out my 45s and shoot them. Like, if I want to beat myself up, I'll carry a fucking 10 mil. My first Glock 20, right after they came out. I bought one 3 weeks after they were released. Back in the early 90s, like 91. Bought my first Glock 10 millimeter in 1991 because I had been a Bren 10 lover from the Miami Vice days, which were like 4 years prior to that. I was a Bren 10 lover, and then I was a Smith & Wesson 645 lover. And but in high school, can't be buying no guns, can't be buying no pistols. So when I finally got out on my own, somebody convinced me, like, hey man, Glock is making a 10 millimeter pistol. I'm like, dude, I'm on it. But I ended up trading it for an AR-15 right before the assault weapons ban. Gabe went from a 2011 to an M&P. Well, I got nothing for that. Probably because his 2011 was an STI, and he was just tired of dealing with its bullshit. Landfair says he's already got serial number 9 of my signature pistol on order. That's pretty crazy. Dano, no, I have not bought a Glock 40 10 millimeter. It's on the list, but like I said, I've got seven new guns that I've got to fucking break in and do reviews on or whatever. And actually, I'm not going to do reviews on all of them because most of them are just for me. Most of them are just for my own personal whatever. But it's easy content for you guys. Obviously, I'm going to show you guys pictures of my Shadow too, because it's going to be kind of like a one of a kind. Burnt bronzed RMR single action Shadow 2. Who the fuck has got one of those? What do you want, Niche? But once my Chambers gun comes in, shit, I'm gonna put everything on the shelf for a while. I'll probably, I'll bring Glocks to class just to show guys that it's not, it's not the arrow, it's the Archer. I did that in the last no fail pistol. I shot a honey, shot 100 with this gun, and then the students corrected all their shit, talked a little bit about fundamentals or whatever, sent them back to run another 25-yard slow fire, and I shot a 98 with this gun right behind it, just to show them, like, hey, look, man, it is what it is. And then I put my Glock away and shot my Nighthawk for the rest of the last class that I was doing. But eventually, the Glock 40 will be mine, or a Glock 20 with a fucking comp on it. Is a 10 millimeter useful outside of hunting? I think much like the 357 Magnum, it's got some really nice terminal performance. I mean, we could talk about modern service ammunition and 9 mil and 45 and 40 all kind of being not the same or all the same, indistinguishable. I allege that if you take your best bullet design you've got in 9 mil, whatever it is, for the maximum expansion, best performing, whether that's the gold dot bullet, the actual bullet, or the STX Ranger T, fucking HST, whatever, and then make it bigger. How can it not be? How can it not have more performance? If I put some more ass behind that motherfucker and balloon it up like a death blossom, I think that my 10 mil probably is going to make a bigger hole in you. But at the end of the day, if your shot placement is minute of a torso, you only have about and you have an eighth of an inch wider spread from a 45 bullet to whatever, your impacts have to be within an eighth of an inch of missing for that caliber to even have any fucking difference whatsoever. So if I shot at you and I missed the aortic trunk by less than an eighth of an inch, and I had a bigger bullet, and it ballooned open like a death blossom, then maybe one of the talons of my fucking ammo is going to nick through your fucking artery and rip the fucking entire side of it out, and you start leaking fucking hardcore into the chest cavity. And maybe it takes you 15 seconds to fucking die instead of 10 because it was only a preferential hit. Whereas with 9 mil, I might have whisked right by the edge of the fucking aortic trunk and not caught a piece of any of that shit and deflected off the spine in the back. And now you just leaking with a fucking hole in your lung. Fucking coughing up blood, still shooting at me. God damn. So the answer to I don't have a bigger bullet is fucking don't miss. If you shot me through the fucking heart, we wouldn't be having a discussion about aortic trunks and eighth inch misses anyway. We just blow the fucking heart muscle up. Misha has already left me, Randy. Sorry. She came over, checked in, and then checked out. All right, guys, 2 hours, 27 minutes. Final alibi questions, then we can start winding down. All righty then. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. Hope we covered some stuff that you guys wanted to get covered. Initiative 1639. Fortunately, Initiative 1639 doesn't cross any of Chuck's fucking red lines. So even if that shit passes, all it will do is criminalize me as a citizen when I refuse to fucking secure my arms. And if somebody breaks into my home and they steal one of my guns, guess what? Guess it's back to misdemeanor town for me. Fuck it. I don't care. Now, they pass something that starts banning my possession of fucking certain tools, then it's going to be time to check out of Washington. But 1639 didn't have anything in there about restrictions on rifle purchasing, other than all the stupid regulatory crap. So SBRs are still legal here. ARs are still legal here. 30-round mags are still legal here. Okay, I'm still here. But my wife knows where the red lines are. She knows, honey. Regardless of your career, regardless of whatever, if the fucking socialists pass X, Y, or Z, I'm packing up my shit and I'm leaving, and you are welcome to depart this state with me. But I will no longer reside in this state with you under the following conditions. And 1639 does not violate any of those conditions that I have set. So, am I happy about 1639? Fuck no, I'm not happy about 1639. But if it passes, it passes. And you know, just one step closer to silliness here in the state of Washington. Dano, 34 rolling comparison. According to Overwatch, after our modcast last night, my guns will be done next week. Keep in mind, they were fucking modding like 5 different fucking pistols for me. So they've had the guns for several months. And I told them, hey, just hold on to them. And when they're all done, ship them all to me at the same time. And I made sure that I signed for all of the shit from the FFL and shipped them from me. So they were not sent from my FFL to them. So they have to go back to the FFL. They can ship to me because I've already done the 44 73s or whatever the fuck. And the guns were my property, signed for from the FFL prior to me shipping them off to Overwatch. So I'm going to get a box with a bunch of fucking guns in it here shortly. And in it, there will be at least 3 34s. I think I got 2 Gen 3s in that bitch. 2 Gen 3, like pickle chucks, if you will. And then I've got a Gen 5 MOS gun in there. So, and I've got a 19X that's pimped the fuck out. Now all I got to do is go shopping for a barrel and 19X compensator to complete the Roland build on the 19X. And so once I get that barrel combo for that pistol, then I will fucking start shooting the Gen 334 with Victory First Barrel against the Glock 19X compensated, and start giving you guys some metrics on times and accuracy, and I'll document and video all that bullshit. And I will probably fuck off using those 2 guns until either my CZ or my Chambers gun shows up, whichever's first. So that's where we are in the grand scheme of things. Move to Fredericksburg. Jordan, I wanted to move to Fredericksburg really, really badly back in 2006 when I was living in communist-ass Maryland. Unfortunately, the Asymmetric Warfare Group decided that they did not want to station Able Squadron down at Fort AP Hill, where all of the fucking ranges were located. They wanted us up by the fucking flagpole, having to drive 2 goddamn hours to go to the fucking training area. So I would have been very, very happy with the idea of living in Fredericksburg. Actually, not in Fredericksburg, but in the rural area halfway between Fredericksburg and AP Hill. That way it was only 20, 25 minutes into the strip malls and less than 25 minutes ride to work. That would have been pretty legit. And Joe from No Fail Pistol in North Carolina. What's up, buddy? I'm glad that you like that class. Please spread the word. anybody wants to know, no shit, is the hype, is the hype fucking a real deal or not? Talk to Joe or any of the guys that have taken my class. I stand by the product that I've delivered thus far 100%. And I have no fears whatsoever that if you ask any fucking student from any no-fail pistol class that I've taught, if it's not one of the best or top 3 training courses that they've ever attended, that they will not tell you that it was. It's the combination of the material and how I explain it to make the light bulb go on is fucking special. There's some magic that is happening out there on that flat range, and if you are a 90 or above B8 shooter and you want to take your shit to the next level, no fail pistol is where you need to come in 2019. Yeah, I heard about KKM's possible Gen 5 comp that's coming out in December. I wish somebody else would make one, just because I'm tired of giving KKM my money when they haven't given me any love over the Roland Special or the idea of comping the 19 barrel. I made those guys rich, and I haven't really seen anything out of it. Not saying that they're fucking assholes and they're in violation of an agreement. We didn't have a fucking agreement, but it's just something I did and it took off. But that being said, that should probably get me a bone thrown out there when, I need a fucking Gen 5 compensator. I should be able to call up KKM and be like, hey, it's Chuck, the guy that made you rich. Can I get one of them fucking Gen 5 comps and have them say, Chuck, dude, you've made us a lot of fucking money, buddy. How many of these barrels and comps do you want? And then they put them in the mail and send them to me. Unfortunately, I do not have that relationship with KKM currently. And Victory First is cranking out barrels, and the fucking barrels are shooting lights out. So as long as we're not talking about compensators, I am pretty much not going to drop a fucking aftermarket barrel in a 34 like this again. As long as the Victory First is shooting as good as, and I can get it for retail $100 cheaper than that, it's a no-brainer for me, man. All right, fellas, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. I'll probably do a couple videos with Bill this coming week. Bill and I are basically free after 3 p.m. every single day. So Bill and I might do a couple of videos, maybe video that he puts on his Patreon, and then we do a video that I put on mine, or maybe we record some of the training we're doing. I don't know, but I've got some time on my hands in the evenings that I should be able to do another Q&A one night next week. And maybe some funny videos with fucking Fire Marshal Bill. All right, guys, have a good one. I'm out.